Hello everyone, George here, and we are back working on the popcorn popper thing that's going to be out front of a theater in our virtual world for a architectural project that I'm working on in our lab. And basically, I've got today to finish this thing. In the last video, we did the entire model pretty quick, and now what we're going to do is some cleanup real fast, make sure everything's named properly, figure out kind of how many objects, game objects, we want this object to actually be, and then break it up into individual textures. All right, that is, break up the UVs, and then hopefully get this thing over to Substance Painter. We may or may not do that in this video. It depends on how much time we have. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and begin? So this is our popper. Right here, we are going to continue with this general kind of layout, I think, for everything. So why don't we just go ahead and take a look. So we've got one object. So let's go to edit, let's see, ungroup. So ungroup that. We've got all the different poly surfaces. I'm going to edit, delete all by type history really fast. And now let's start grabbing things. So this is the main box of this thing. I'm going to combine that with the holder, the push part of it. Because really that can all be sort of kept together, I believe, in one area. Then, of course, we have the wheels that are separated, and then we have the top part of the box. And we have the individual pieces of glass, and inside of that we have some other stuff. So let's do the glass first. So let's go to UVs and planar. And what I think I'm going to do is just do, let's see, keep image, right, height ratio. Yeah, let's do best plane, apply. I'm going to go to each piece of glass and hit apply. Apply and F8, apply. And now if I'm lucky, they all over here in the UVs line up pretty much, almost. Let's fix that. I'm going to go to UVs, grab all of them, and where's my UV? Let's go to, where is my show UV toolkit? That's what I want. So we're going to arrange the layout. No, we want to do align, right? Align and snap. We're going to grab all of these ones and I'm going to align them to the left. I'm going to grab all these ones and align them to the right. Do the same thing with the top and do the same thing with the bottom. Okay, that should be good. So now we have our glass pretty much set up. We're going to call these, we're going to leave them all as separate objects. The reason for that is because when you're rendering things with transparencies, if I were to grab all of these and make them as one object, the center point is where the object is going to think the transparency actually is. And that center point is inside of this thing, and it could screw things up. By leaving them individual planes, there's less of a chance of rendering problems happening. Now, what I am not going to do is duplicate each one of these sides and reverse them by flipping them from one side to the other. Inside of Unity, backface culling is on by default, and since we're not writing our own shaders, technically if I wanted to have that glass on both sides, I would need to duplicate that plane and rotate it around 180 degrees. But because I have glass all the way around this thing, you're going to see, you know, glass from one side. I don't really care about the glass from the other side impacting anything. So I'm going to grab all the names right here, and let's call this glass underscore 01, enter, and then we have glass 04. Great. Now we have the PQ part, which is the bottom. Let's just call this body. And actually, I want to grab all the glass, right click, go to new material, and we're going to do a Stingray PBS material because it turns out you can create materials that link most of the Substance Painter ones up almost completely right. And then export these out to Unity and have the links actually work for the most part. Now there's a tiny bit of a thing that's wrong with it, but it's okay enough. So let's just call this glass, popcorn glass underscore M. Great. I don't think it's 2 words, right? Is it 1 word? I don't know. We're going to grab that. So now the question is, should the wheels be a separate object or should they be combined with everything else? I am going to grab all the glass since that's done and hide that out. And so the popcorn itself should probably be its own material. So we can just, so basically how many different objects are we going to render is what it's kind of getting down to. I'm going to grab the popper and the whatever that is thing, fuse them together. And let's just call, and I'm going to probably, so I could fuse, I'm trying to think, this is easy because it's just a flat down plane. I can leave that as is, so I think I will. I'm just going to call this popcorn give that a new material, right click, new material, Stingray PBS, call that popcorn underscore M. I keep capitalizing the corn part. And I'm going to turn on use color, normal, and metallic. Hide that. And yeah, now this is where it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to have that many separate materials, that many separate objects? Or do I just want to kind of keep them all together? If I combine these, I do lose the ability to have that wheel rotate. So if I ever did want to go back in here, so let me WDV, excuse me, let's modify center pivot. There we go. So if I ever did want this to rotate for some reason, I will lose that ability. There's enough complexity to and enough components to where I kind of worry about that. And this, I kind of want to combine into just being a top piece. So let's do that. I'm going to combine that, and that's that. So that's the glass, that, and the separate pieces. It's quite a few pieces of objects to individually render out, but I'm kind of going to go with it. Let's do top body, something like that, or body top. And what are these, wheels? Wheels. Okay, and we're going to grab everything in just a second. What is this? Edit, delete by type history. Edit, I can delete that now. Can I? That is an empty transform. Whoops, I thought that was empty. You made me feel like it was empty. There we go. That's better. I'm going to grab all these, display, show, all, grab everything now, and Control G to put that in a group, and let's call this popcorn popper. I do need to put materials on things, so let's right click on this, assign new material, Stingray PBS, popcorn wheels underscore M, enter, turn all those on. Good. And grab this, right click, new material, Stingray PBS, and popcorn body underscore M. Turn all those on. I like to turn them on because it shows me that I've gone ahead and assigned that something, because it goes all funky with the normals and everything because I don't have anything actually applied. And then finally, right click, new material, Stingray PBS, and let's do popcorn body top underscore M, and do that as well. And let's hide one. Okay, good. We're good to go. Okay, so now we just need to make sure all the UVs are set up. So those ones were already done. I can get rid of them. The popcorn popper and the rest of that one's good, so we can get rid of that. The wheels are a giant mess. Let's see what we can do here. So what is that? So we've got these two bits here, this one and that one. Those are the wheels. If we go to shift unfold and unfold the two of them, you can see we get two very long strips, which, I mean, we can leave them like that if we want to. It's really not a problem. We might want to consider cutting them up. Not that it's going to really help, but I mean, we could technically separate the UVs right there and there. That's actually going to cause more of a problem than help me, won't it? Let's go to shell, grab both, shift right click, and go to orient the shells, so at least they're oriented properly now. Let's grab this and see what we're dealing with. So we have that and we have that. Those are the same. We can shift right click and unfold those two, and we get sort of these bits right here. I'm going to orient them really quick. And that's not bad. You can kind of see the bulge right there where we pulled everything out. That should be okay, I think. And then what is this? This is a spoke. These should be all of the spokes then. Same thing, shift unfold, unfold. And then now we get all the spokes. Shift right click and orient them as well. And then we have the cap on the end. There should be two of them at least, right? Yes. Okay, so one thing I do want to do is grab this entire thing, go to modify, freeze transforms, and just make sure my transforms aren't crap. So we can see right now they're not. All the rotations are 0, all the scales are 1. I am going to go ahead and do delete by type and history on that, and grab everything really fast. And we're going to just see what happens when we do a layout on this. If we're lucky, so what I'm anticipating is that I'm going to get a lot of empty space on this thing. I'm going to need to cut the really long aspects of this down. And those long ones are going to be the actual wheels, because that goes around all the way and wraps from one end all the way back to the other end. And that's going to be a big problem. That's pretty much it. I think I'm just going to have to cut them up into maybe like 4 pieces. Should be good enough. This is taking a long time. This is a lot. There we go. I guess there's all those spokes. Yeah, see, take a look at that. And you know why it's bad? It's because of these 2 elements right there. It's the longest element you have that is causing the problem. So what we should really do is cut these directly in half. So I'm going to grab this one. And yes, cutting them in half can cause problems, but this is going to alleviate a lot of issue. So let's shift right click and go to cut. And now I should have separate UV shells. Now I can grab everything again and shift right click and let layout handle 90% of my problems. And now that those are cut up, they can be scaled up larger. Since I'm keeping in the layout options, I have keep the equivalent 3D size of each object static. That is, the scales of each one are proportional to each other. So by cutting those ones up, I can scale everything larger, and by scaling everything larger, I then take up more of the texture space, which hopefully we'll see in the next 10 to 15 seconds. There we go. Heck yeah, check that out. Now we're using up close to 80% of the texture space, and I call that a win personally, so I'm going to let that slide. Okay, next up is this thing. Now this is kind of a mess. There are a lot of ways we can tackle this one, but really the easiest thing is probably just going to go UV and do an automatic on this thing. Now check it out. There are some big problems. The legs, for instance, like these ones on the bottoms, are kind of nasty. What we could do is grab the legs by themselves and unfold them. That could be something we do if we want to. So I'll grab all of these really quick. Let's just do UV, do planar, and come at this from some direction, like maybe the Y direction. And now those are the legs. So there's actually 4 of these here. So if we go over here and click on one of them, whoops, come on, where are you? There you go. I'm going to minus key that. That's way too big. You can see the 4 there and there. Now, I've got no seam right now, so if I try to unfold that, it's going to really have a hard time and look really gross and disgusting and confuse us. So what I'm going to do is go in here and actually create seams on the insides of each of these legs by grabbing each edge, holding down the shift key, right clicking, and going to cut. Now I'll grab the UV shells, hold down the shift key, right click, and go to unfold and do unfold. And now you can see they've unfolded so that they're all together, kind of like if you were doing origami and you were trying to make a box, you would, you know, fold it, and then put them together and then tape the sides together. So shift right click, let's go to orient shells, and I'm going to grab these 2, shift right click, rotate shells, and rotate counterclockwise. I'm going to do that twice. It's good enough. Now coming back over here, we can take a look at what's giving us problems. And stuff that is going to give us or cause us problems are let's see, we've got this cylinder here, and I'm pretty sure I just automaticed that cylinder, which probably screwed that whole thing up pretty bad. So let me grab all of this. Let me grab all of this, like this. And let's do UV's cylindrical, apply, rotate this thing 90 degrees. You know, one thing I liked about 3D Studio Max is it automatically does the cylindrical to the best angle possible, whereas in Maya it does this weird thing where it's always in a crappy direction, if you ask me. So let's make this a lot bigger so it actually encompasses the entire thing. And then I'm also going to click up here, and I want to go all the way around, wrap around it. There we go. So now we have the cylinder that we can work with. I'm going to pull it up here. And we do have problem areas. Those problem areas are going to be the ends of it. So right here. So frame up and kind of zoom around and go over there. And I want to see if I can just grab that bit right there. There we are. So that's a problem, and this is a problem. So I'm going to grab both of the problems. Whoops, I think I screwed that up. Unselect all the rest of those problems. I'm just going to make sure that that's centered. If it's centered, I know that I have the right things selected. Go to UV now, planar, look down here, and it looks like it's the x-axis that faces. So I'm going to hit bounding box, x-axis, hit apply, and now I have those two over here to work with, but they've been separated now from this. So I can go to shift right click and unfold that, and now I have this properly unfolded. Shift right click, and let's go to, yeah, I did unfold. I want to do orient. There we go. Okay, so those are some good pieces done. What else do we have that could cause us problems? So there's the bottom of the box. That's fine. There's the side, or there's the top piece of something. Now it looks like that entire top is wasting a ton of texture real estate. But it might end up just being easier for me to leave that there than to do anything with it. So I might do that for right now. Now what else is there? There's that side, and there's all these little bits right here. And those look fine as well. Let's just kind of see what happens. Let's grab everything and do a layout UVW, and see, or layout UV. We're not dealing with the third coordinate, volume or whatever you want to inside of this right now, and see what happens. Okay, wow, that did a great job at filling up, 75, 80% of the space. I'm really not going to have a hard time, I think, with some of the sizes of these objects. What is this? I mean, that's pretty narrow, but that is the bottom side of that. Not going to really, that doesn't matter so much. Yeah, so I think I'm happy with that. So we'll move on to the next object. So save. So the wheels are done. That's done. Let's get rid of that and that. Now it's just a popcorn popper. So I kind of want to shield myself from making too many mistakes. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab the cylinder part of this, both the top and the bottoms, because technically those should be somewhat okay at the moment. Now what is this? This is just an extrusion, so it's going to be a giant mess, isn't it? Now there's this piece here, that's an extrusion. And what I want to do is grab, if I grab this, what do I get? So I'm getting whatever that piece is right there, which I do not want. But I do have the rest. That, as far as I'm concerned, can be broken up as automatic. What I will do, though, is come down here really quick. And I might need to, see the giant holes everywhere? I'm probably going to need to break them up. So if we come in here, now in the reference material, I have a long vertical silver part to this. And I believe that's these elements, right? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to want to grab them and keep them together. So shift right click and create UV shell. And I'm going to do the same thing here, right? That's the whole thing. Hold on a second. Face mode. U and U, and do the same thing. Pull that down, and we're going to do it again over here, and over here. Now we've cut those up so we don't have the giant gaping holes in the middle of everything. Now the top and the bottom. Now the bottom is a waste. There's no reason to keep the bottom. I might as well grab it and actually just delete those faces. So those are gone. And then we have the top, and that's fine the way it is. I don't see any reason to modify that. And then we have the sides now. So what are these? These are the interior portions. Best to break them up. Those are going to cause some problems for me. So shift right click and create shell. I'm just going to move them off someplace. Now, what is this? Now, oh, that's the bottom. Okay, so that is a problem. I need to grab all of these and break them off. I mean, no, I don't have to. That's a texturing thing. If I was doing this in Photoshop, I might want to do that, but because it's in Substance Painter, it's going to be easy for me to just select those faces and apply a texture just to that area. So I really don't need to cut them up. Now, problems. So what is this? I don't know. There is this. Is the top still there? Yes, so that can go. So let's get rid of the top of this. Just extra UVs. Oh boy. Yeah, not what I wanted to do. Did that really go like right in the center? Looks like it did. Okay, delete. That's gone. So that's the cylinder. We can select this, grow, And I mean, we can try to do this if we want to. We can do a cylinder on this, wrap that around. Not usually a fan of how this turns out, but we'll do it. Grab it, unfold, unfold, and you can kind of see the weird geometry we get because it's not cut up. If we want to, we can go ahead and do a cut in here and try to reduce the distortion a bit. That's probably good enough for what we're doing. I'm going to grab that. Now, what I want to do is actually go face mode, grab this, and grow from there. That way I know I've got everything on the other end. Okay, now that I have all that, I'm going to go to UVs, and I'm going to do cylindrical. And I'm just going to do that. And, ooh, that's bad. We are going to move that up. And let's see here. Isn't there a way I can do this? What happens if I do this? There we go. Now it's one solid object. Okay, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do is introduce my own seam on this object. I mean, technically I can follow that seam if I want to. It's up to me. And I'm going to cut it right there. Now I can grab it, unfold, and it unfolds perfectly. Check that out. Isn't that great? I'm going to orient this thing somewhat proper. We can go in here if you want to and optimize it a couple times, try to straighten things out if you want to. The whole thing's not straight to begin with, so, you know, there's only so much you can do. So what are we dealing with now? We have the top bit, which is a mess. This part is a cylinder here. That needs to be separate. So let's just do cylinder on that. I'm not even going to bother. We're just going to grab it, UV shell it, shift right click, unfold it, unfold it. That's good enough. Same thing on this object. We're probably going to need to cut these up. Those are the ones that are going to cause us problems. That's the top. That can go. We don't need that. That's the top of that thing. Shift right click, unfold, unfold. We can see now that's better. What is this? This is the bottom. I'm going to G that as well. That's good. And then everything else is just straight stuff. So we don't really need to worry about any of it. So now we can grab everything. Shift right click, and can I orient that? There we go. And actually, let's try that again. I've got a couple other items. Let's grab it all, shift right click, and just give it a layout. See what happens. Cross our fingers that it doesn't crash. That's always a good thing to do, because sometimes that will happen. There we go. And once again, I'm actually kind of happy with this. You know, roughly 75–80% coverage of the space. Yeah, I mean, we can go in there and we can manually play with things, but since we're going to bring this into Substance Painter, and in Substance Painter we're letting the program do all that for us, I'm not really going to be concerned about it. Just let it be. Save. Okay, so now that means everything's done. I'm going to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, and History, Display, Show All. And what we're going to do really fast is export this thing out to Substance Painter. So Popcorn Popper, File, Export Selection. And let's go to Up, and under Substance, FBX, and Popcorn, Popper. Hit Enter. There we go. And we can minimize that. Let's open Substance. And we'll start working on that in the next video. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. So we got through all the UV stuff, and in the next video is the fun, where we're probably going to be jumping back and forth between Substance, the bitmap program, as well as Photoshop, trying to get some different things done. Obviously not everything here is going to be inside of Substance Painter. That is the Popcorn Popper. We are going to need our own title for Popcorn, or alpha channel or whatnot, so we can pop that on there. Possibly the same thing with this sort of I don't even know what you call this, signage stuff, but the rest of it, the red, the gold, the rubber tires, the metallic stuff, that's all going to be inside of Substance Painter. The only thing that won't be is Popcorn. So we're probably going to need to go online, find like a picture of something of Popcorn that's just taken from the top down, see if we can't make a normal map out of that thing, and go from there. All right, everyone. Hope you had a great time, like I already said once, and I'll see you next time. So long, goodbye.